It's cool, but also strange that for most people, community and culture are a consideration when exercising in 2024. Behavior and performance research is the coaching business that I'm involved in, and we're not affiliated or attached to any particular type of exercise. That's to say that we have the freedom to choose the different tools and protocols that we think would be best for the people that we get to coach. Now, it hasn't always been that way. For a long, long time, we were affiliated with Crossfit. And when people catch wind of that, this is typically the first thing out of their mouth. Oh, you think CrossFit's stupid? And the answer is no. I actually think CrossFit is awesome. I just so happen to think that lots of things are awesome. I think that low intensity, longer duration exercise is awesome. I think biasing your training for one particular outcome is awesome. I think not exercising and getting more sleep and focusing on lifestyle aspects instead of training really hard is awesome too. So what I'm trying to say is that I wanted to remove the bias that we had of having to do things a certain way and removing that bias for our clients to think that they had to make us happy by doing things a certain way. You picking up what I'm putting down? Now, the reason that I start there is because about once a week, I have a coach from somewhere else that will contact me on social media, through email, a phone call, and we'll chat, and they will be at a crossroads. They'll be at a place where they are really concerned about the culture that they've created. This culture where people are showing up and they're blowing it out every single day, despite the fact that they probably shouldn't be doing that. They probably shouldn't be doing that because they're already stressed out, because they're not actually taking care of themselves outside of the gym. Yet the culture that they've created is one where that's the way that they can get a pat on the back. And so we had these conversations, and they're wondering, like, how do I start to do some of the things that you guys claim to have done on social media? And so I'm going to give you the answers that I would give that person if we were on that phone call. The first thing that I would say is that the reason that those clients act that way is because of you. It's because of you that you have more than likely modeled that behavior at some point, 2, encouraged it, 3, celebrated it, and then lastly, you've allowed it to continue to happen. 2, you've probably not communicated that there's any alternative besides that. These guys, for good reason, think that the only way that they can exercise is to do something this particular way that you taught them how to do. So step 1 is really just to have a lot of conversations, probably first with your staff if you got them, and then with your clients to explain that, hey, you've updated your thinking. It's not only this, but it's this and this, that there are lots of options to sustain a healthy lifestyle. And this that we have biased is actually only one. That's a conversation you're probably going to have 100 times more than you think you need to. And even that's a little abstract. So as a nice illustration, I want to bring back the golden age of music videos. There were 2 siblings, Michael and Janet, and they provide a rich illustration of where you have come from to where you could go. Because I'm not advocating that everybody's a unique snowflake and they're just off in the corner doing their own thing. One person's doing yoga and another's doing back squat. I'm not advocating that. But what I think that we can get away from is this conformity where everybody feels like to be a part of the culture and the community, you got to do things this certain way. So if you go back to the song Rhythm Nation by Janet Jackson, every dance in that music video is totally choreographed. Everything is exactly the same from one person to the other. You flip the script and you go to Beat It, arguably one of the greatest music videos of all time, and you see that there's some dancing that's the same, but they have these breakout moments where everybody's like kind of doing their own thing. They got that guy shaking around. They got those guys doing the knife fight. And actually, speaking of Michael Jackson, a lot of his videos have that breakout moment. They have that autonomous dance break where in Thriller, you see the zombies doing the very slow pop and lock. But I digress. In a fitness setting, this might look like a totally corporate, conformist warm-up followed by a very wide berth of training options that you yourself have advocated is okay. Now, I'm not talking about scaling. I'm not talking about just decreasing the load so grandma can do a version of this workout that looks like the 22-year-old. I'm talking about completely changing the intensity, completely changing the movement patterns so that people get the actual stimulus that they need for the day. Here's an assumption that you can probably hang your hat on. After a certain age, people potentially show up every day as a different athlete. We have days where we show up and we've slept great. We've consumed really high quality food in the right amounts. We're not as stressed as we have been of the days of the week. That person is a different athlete than the person that got 4 hours of sleep, ate like crap, and is really stressed already. And you can make a strong argument that the type of workout that those people need may look a lot different. So how do you know what people need, right? That's another follow-up question as I'm talking with these coaches. And my answer to them is like, man, there's lots of ways to go about it, but a way is that you could create a very simple way for them to assess themselves. A very simple way for them to show up if you're training in a group to say, man, how am I feeling? How does my body feel? Did I get good sleep? What type of food did I eat? What is my level of stress? These are really simple questions that don't take a long time to answer that you can start to take from a subjective standpoint and create some objectivity so that they can navigate the workout and you can create options for them. Now, everything I just said is more work for you. Sorry. But if you're trying to create this balanced autonomy where people are together and they're doing things still collectively in a group, but there's some individual expression, like it is going to be some more work. Furthermore, folks that you train are going to have to be a lot more clear on what it is that they want versus saying that they want whatever the group wants. And so there's going to have to be some deeper thought process on their level, and you're probably going to have to instigate and encourage that as well. So it's even more than just orchestrating a better hour of training. There's going to have to be some premeditation on what it is that they're actually there for from a training standpoint. But, and here's the good news, it is sustainable. It's way more sustainable than anything we've tried in the past. Giving people options and not claiming that there's only one thing that will solve everyone's problem is also a little bit more like real life. So fitness moving forward can be diversified, but still within a unified framework. So if you're a coach and you're considering expanding the number of tools that you have, realize that there's a lot of ways that you can go about it. You don't even have to disassociate yourself from the tools that you've used in the past. There's a number of ways that you could start to chip away at it, but you just get started. You just start experimenting. One of the best pieces of advice that I can leave you with is to give people a heads up that you're going to run a little experiment and you don't know how it's going to go, but there is a defined end date that all of us will get together and reevaluate. Hey, how do we feel? And that conversation may go like this. Hey guys, Spencer here, been coaching for 50 years, and I'm wrestling with some different ideas about how we might go about training. What I'd like to do is run just a very, very short little experiment with you as the lab rats. We're going to try some different tools, and here's what I'm hoping that you could experience by us trying some of these different workouts, trying some of these different protocols, that you would feel better, that you would have permission to wake up and not feel like a pile of crap after each one of these workouts. At the end of the 6 weeks, I'm going to ask you how you felt, and if you liked it, great. Maybe we could keep going with it. If you hated it, hey, it was just an experiment and we don't have to go back to it. But here's my last little insight to you. They will like it. They will want to keep doing it. And then you just keep going. And that's it. This has been a monumental statement about incremental change brought to you by the good people at BPR.
Subscribe!